What's up everybody, welcome back to Free to Be, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 3 money mistakes everyone should avoid when they're in their 30s. Now it could be applicable to you before you reach 30 as well, but this is specifically true for anyone who's 30 plus. You should avoid these at all costs, so let's get started. Okay, now as always, if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and take a moment and click the subscribe button for me down below and turn on those notifications because we cover financial literacy here as well as some lifestyle tips and general creative expression, and you're not going to want to miss any of the content. And if you're not new, thanks for joining me again. Okay, and so in today's video, we're going to talk about 3 money mistakes to avoid in your 30s because the number one thing you got to realize is as we get older, one of the biggest regrets we'll probably have is not learning more about how to use our money to our advantage, how to leverage what we had while we were younger. And this is really important to do and know early on because we will probably have some regrets later on. And I'm sure if you talk to someone who's in their 60s or ready for retirement or even in retirement, their number one regret is probably going to be around money, not saving it, investing it, whatever the case may be. So it's important to identify those while you're young and try to implement them in your life. And so as I mentioned, this can apply to you if you're younger than 30 as well, but these are just things that you should definitely avoid if you're 30 plus. So the first mistake to avoid making when you're in your 30s is not setting financial goals. And that's both short-term and long-term goals, going all the way out to retirement even. You have to set goals for yourself because proceeding in life without having those goals in place, whether it's financial or anything else, if you don't set goals for yourself, you don't really have a direction in terms of where you're going and how you're going to get there. So you need to make sure you're setting some, short-term goals, 1 year, 5 year, and then long-term goals as well, 10-year, 15-year goals. And short-term goals can be anything like paying off debt. You have to have a plan. If you have $50,000 worth of consumer debt that you want to pay off, you have to actually create a plan on how you're going to do that so that it will materialize for you so that you can visualize your goal and achieve it. If you plan on paying $500 down a month on that debt, make sure you put that in writing somewhere so that you can see that. Make sure you create a vision board, some kind of goal in place so that every day you can focus on achieving that goal. And so the key here is to make your goals actionable. So if it's easier to track it via a spreadsheet, track it via a spreadsheet, but make sure you place a few short-term goals on there and some long-term goals on there. Again, long-term goals are going to be things like retirement, if you're planning on buying a house in the next 10 years. Things like that should be in the long-term goal. In the short-term goal, it should be, accumulating enough, of a rainy day fund or paying down your debts. Okay, so the next mistake to avoid when you're in your 30s is not saving enough for retirement, not thinking about your retirement. This is a big one because look, the younger you are, the more time you have and more opportunity you have for your savings to gain interest, specifically compound interest on retirement accounts. I mean, and that's where your money, the money you invest, gets returns, and those returns also then get interest or gain interest on top. It's different than your simple interest where you just put money aside in a bank and it just gains some interest there. With compound interest, you can use time to your advantage. So you have to start thinking about retirement as early as possible. Now this is something that I made videos for in the past as well, that the younger you start, the better off you are. But if you're in your 30s and you haven't even thought about this, you're going to be in a bad position later on in life because as of today, as of the time that I'm posting this video, the expectation is that by the time you're ready to retire, 65, 66, 67 years old, you should have at least $2 million in your retirement accounts. And that's just so that you can, maintain the same standard of living that you've had up to that point into retirement. So not thinking about retirement is a huge mistake and it should be avoided at all costs. And now what you should do is you should definitely leverage, your employer. I'm sure your employer has match benefits where you can go ahead and contribute X amount of dollars and they match dollar for dollar. Try to leverage those things that you have in place. Before you have kids, try to save up as much money as you can. Before you go out and, buy a place, buy a home with a mortgage, try to, see if you can get some roommates and rent and just, put your money into savings, put that money to work for you for later down the road. You just definitely have to think about retirement while you're young. There's no way around it. And remember, every day that passes by that you haven't saved some money for retirement is just one day further out your retirement will be for you. So why not get started early? Think about this. You just want to put at least 10 to 15% of your income away for retirement, and you will be able to reach that goal. And if you can do more than that, then you'll be able to retire even earlier. So think about your retirement, focus on that goal, and make sure you're doing it, because remember, we can't rewind the clock. Once you're in your 40s, once you're in your 50s, once retirement is actually in your view and it's only 5 years out or 10 years out, there's no way to go back in time and start investing. Invest early, invest often, and put money aside for your retirement. And so the third mistake to avoid when you're in your 30s, when it comes to your money, is not tracking your spending. Look, at this point, if you've hit the 30-year mark, you've already started your career, you have a few years of work experience, you have some money coming in, and you're able to spend on things that you weren't able to spend on before. But mindless spending is one of the easiest ways to destroy your wealth. If you just go through day to day and just frivolously spend your money and not pay attention to what you're spending it on, you're going to be in a bad financial position. So you have to think about that when it comes to almost every purchase in your life. Create a budget. I made several videos about how to do that. It's really simple to do. I know it seems difficult, but create a budget. That'll help you track your spending. Avoid unnecessary purchases. Cut down on costs where you can. Just have an overall handle about your money, the money that you're making, the money that's coming in, and leverage it to your advantage. You still have a lot of time before retirement when you're, in your 30s. So put that money to work for you and don't just spend it mindlessly. And the easiest way to start doing this is to track your spending over a small window of time. So over the next 30 days, you should set a goal to track everything you spend. And then you'll kind of be able to identify a pattern in your spending. Are you really going out to eat 4 to 5 times a week? Maybe you can cut back on that and save a little bit more. Do you buy the cup of coffee every day? Is that something that you're willing to sacrifice? Just keep track of your spendings over a small period of time, and then that way you can understand how you're basically effectively using your money or not effectively using your money. Just make sure you track your spending. It's also important to note that when we're in our 30s, we are going to start realizing a lot of our career ambitions. We're going to start getting promotions and raises, get new jobs. And what happens here is you start adjusting your lifestyle with those raises, and you should, at all costs, at any opportunity you get, avoid doing that. Just because you get a $30,000 raise doesn't mean you have to go and get a new car and a better place and some more clothes. You don't have to adjust your lifestyle to that raise. You can continue the lifestyle that you were happy at before. I mean, if you were making $60,000 a year and you were comfortable living in your apartment and the car that you had and the clothes that you had and the food that was in your belly and kind of the lifestyle that you had built for yourself, now that you're making $90,000 a year, there's no reason for you to go adjust your lifestyle to, basically cap out the money that you're bringing in. Keep the same lifestyle even as you're start increasing in pay, as you start getting raises, promotions, whatever the case may be, your income will continue to go up. I mean, our peak earning years are going to be in our 40s and early 50s. So as that income starts adjusting, if you can keep your lifestyle at that same level as your early 20s, late 20s, you'll be in a better place, because then you can save more, then you can put more aside for retirement. So try to avoid the adjustment to the lifestyle as much as you can, and that'll really help with you tracking your spending as well. And I know it's hard because you work hard and you want to play hard. You think that you put in a lot of effort into your job, into your career, and now you get that raise, now you get that promotion. And inside, we all think this. It's like, look, I did the work, now I deserve, a little bit more out of life. And sure, you do, but it's almost 100%, 100 times better to just go ahead and impulse buy a one-time purchase that's not going to break your bank, on a recurring basis going forward. So instead of buying an $80,000 car that'll cost you $700, $800 a month in payments for the next 5 years, go buy yourself, a $1,000 gift and call it a day. Don't go too crazy, obviously. You don't want to go and buy a $20,000, Rolex, but, do gift yourself, do reward yourself for the accomplishments in your life. Just don't adjust it where you're doing it on a recurring basis, where that money is just being tied up into those costs. That'll really, put you at a disadvantage when it comes to saving for other goals. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. If you didn't, you can let me know in the comments down below as well. But if you did, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.